How's everyone doing this morning? Welcome to day 2 of EPPC. You know, as I got welcomed to come in and present here a few weeks ago, you know, it made me reflect on the last time I was here out in Vienna, nearly 25 years ago, just as I was about to embark on my career, joining Microsoft as an engineer, straight out of college. Over those 25 years, there's been huge amounts of technology transformation that has happened. And at the core, data has always been there, supporting each of these transformations, making sure every organization can be more efficient, more productive. And the journey that we're on right now with AI is very similar to that. And so I'm super excited to get the time today with all of you to geek out and talk about data for a little bit. Get into really what this is going to look like and what it's going to mean for all of you as you think about how this is going to transform your business. But before we get into it, a huge thank you to all of you. This really is the most amazing community on the planet when it comes to technology. Together, we have made the Power Platform what it is today. And so I really want to give all of you a huge round of applause for the amazing work and contributions that you've made to make the Power Platform what it is. This community and the solutions that you've developed over the last decade, they've all been built on a data foundation, right? It's why we have Dataverse integrated and as a key component of every part of the Power Platform, whether it's the applications that you're building, the websites, or the automations. Dataverse is core to how work has gotten done and how it's always gotten done. And this is not new. Reflecting on the last several decades of technology, back to my early days at the company, working on Visual Studio or Visual Basic for applications, right? And all those macros that you put into Office, all of those operated very similarly, right? This idea that you were building code, transforming how work got done, integrated and leveraging all of that data that your workers are utilizing. We're also at a really interesting time in technology. Something amazing is happening across the technology landscape, a major transformation unlike anything that we've ever seen before. And it's enabling innovation at a pace that we've never experienced. Really, this is an opportunity for us to really rethink and transform how work gets done by transforming the platform that we're building on top of. And really, that is the core foundation and premise of where we're at right now. AI is fundamentally changing everything about how we work. You've already seen a bunch of this come to fruition yesterday when Ryan showed you all the different innovations happening across the platform. AI is really providing intelligence on tap that you can integrate into all of your solutions, enabling things that you would never dream possible before. And it's really changing the notion of what it means to be a citizen, anything really, because everyone has intelligence available to them at scales that they never imagined before. And really the place where all of this transformation is coming to a head is with the idea of agents. Agents are really these expert systems that can reason in real time, understand context and make decisions, drive a process towards the ultimate business goal that you've got, all leveraging that power of intelligence right there at your fingertips. And there's going to be a lot of agents that get built, right? These are going to be the new applications across your organization, reimagining every single business process and system that your organization runs, removing that toil and overhead, and enabling people to do work that they've never been able to do before. And so when we think about what that means and how that transitions from what we've been to where we need to go, we can't just rely on building solutions the same way we always have. We must evolve our approach and adapt to the changing needs of the technology. We're not just going to be building these static applications or workflows anymore. Instead, we're going to be building these agents with reasoning embedded inside of them, enabling them to be dynamic and adapt to the changing circumstances each and every time they run. But all of those solutions will still require data to be effective. That data foundation that you've invested in and built on top of over the last decade to support your applications, those websites, and all of that automation, it too must evolve to support these changing needs. And that's really what we're going to spend our time today here talking about. How do we think about what that data foundation needs to look like to support the next decade, to support those billions of agents that we're going to go build together? And so if we think back over the last decade, data has always been a little bit complicated, right? It's always had some finicky challenges that we've all needed to deal with. If we think about some of those things that we've all often struggled with, this idea that access control had to really be managed over that data, enabling people to go do their work in the context, in the flow of how that process runs across your organization. There's so much data across your organizations, and it's siloed and disconnected. Integrating it all together to ultimately solve those business processes and deliver those outcomes that you need. These are the types of things that we've been building and investing in the platform over the last decade to enable all the amazing innovation that's been happening. But the thing that's changed is this idea of AI and the agents that are coming to it. People were doing a lot of heavy lifting on top of that data historically. And all of a sudden now, if we want to go build agents that are going to support these processes, there's a whole new set of challenges that we have to go address over that data. Or if we think about the existing business processes, people were deciding what was relevant in the context of what was happening across the organization. They were able to support that and make sure the business process executed over the right data at the right time. AI doesn't know how to do that by default. The data doesn't tell it that. If you're like Microsoft, you probably have an organizational language, a vernacular that's specific to how you and your organization speak. For Microsoft, we use three-letter acronyms that, unfortunately, many of you have probably been exposed to in your time working with us. How do you get the AI to understand what all that means so that it can understand and run those business processes in the context of how your organization operates and speaks? These are, again, things that people were doing to make these applications and automations work before. But if we want agents to be autonomous, if we want them to run automatically, those are the things that we have to go put into our data. And that's really where this idea of knowledge came from. Knowledge is data enhanced so that it can operate for AI, making it possible for AI to operate and understand and do all those things that people were doing for us before. And so how do we do that? Well, it's by augmenting the data, storing it in new ways to support the patterns of what agents are going to do and how it's going to interact with that data. It's by augmenting it, teaching it that language that you speak across your organization so that it can reason and understand how your organization operates and use the data in the right way to make it efficient and effective. It's about giving it the signals of what's happening across your organization so that it can understand what is relevant in the context of that business process. And that's really the investments that we've been making on data. Integrating knowledge as a first-class construct inside of Copilot Studio, taking the breadth of data that you have across your organization and making that available as a first-class thing inside of Copilot Studio so that when you're building agents, you can start connecting all of that data to your agents with all of those capabilities integrated in. And of course, that starts with our Power Platform connector ecosystem, now nearly 1,500 strong. All of those connectors that you've been using and building with across the Power Platform, all available to you directly inside of Copilot Studio, enabling you to get started today, leveraging a lot of the investments that you've already made in the platform. But it goes further than that. We know that there are sources that are really critical to how organizations operate. SharePoint lists are extremely commonplace across this community because of the capabilities that it provides and the collaboration that it supports. And so what we've done is we've gone ahead and augmented and enhanced the integration with SharePoint List to make it a first-class knowledge construct inside of Copilot Studio, making it possible for you to federate and have it understand in real time that language that you're speaking, providing it the instructions of how you want us to operate over that list data, and ultimately enabling us to operate over it in real time as tables directly from Copilot Studio or through Dataverse. But we're not stopping there. We continue to build out and enhance the connector ecosystem with more and more first-class knowledge enhanced connectors. And we'll continue to build this out, adding new sources of data that are common across all of your organizations, with sources like Snowflake and Databricks now being available as knowledge-enriched connectors across the Power Platform. And we're not stopping here. We're going to continue expanding and growing that list of enhanced connectors so that you can really get the greatest value out of all of that data as knowledge for your agents to operate and integrate with as you build out more and more agents in our ecosystem. And we've taken all of those learnings that we've had, enhancing and building out these connectors, and created an enhanced connector SDK that all of you can go use today to go build out and integrate additional data sources that you have across your organization and make those first-class knowledge sources as part of your agent building experience. By using this enhanced SDK, you get all of those capabilities of knowledge that I talked about earlier. You get the ability to use that data as virtual tables inside of Dataverse, and all without any data movement being required. For those of you that are interested, please go check out the SDK and get started. But it goes beyond just connecting to existing systems and building agents in isolation. If we're really talking about building 1 billion+ agents, these agents are going to have to work together. They're going to have to collaborate and share context and solve more complex business problems. And to do that, we're going to need to have a data strategy that allows them to operate independently and really hand off to one another as and when necessary. And a great example of that we've had across Microsoft is really the journey that we've taken with customer support at Microsoft. We started this journey a couple of years ago, and what we did was we really armed all of our customer support agents with a copilot over that customer support data, allowing agents to go explore case details, understand what the knowledge base is telling them, and ultimately support them in more quickly resolving issues for customers. But we realized something. Why did we need to have people do all of this? What if an agent could take on more of this burden and really solve customer problems on behalf of the agent, enabling those agents to do other work? And so that's exactly what we did. We built out these autonomous support agents that started directly engaging with customers, understanding the problems that they were having, reason over that knowledge base that we had, and suggest solutions to them, only handing off to humans as and when necessary when they encountered something that they didn't understand. But we realized the customer support process is far more complex than that. What if agents could really support the broader set of processes that ultimately make up that end-to-end business for Microsoft? And so that's exactly what we embarked on. We created a team of AI agents that can operate on all the different parts of the support process that we have, supporting that case resolution, harvesting case history to enhance the knowledge base that we have, identifying patterns so that you could start getting ahead of new emerging issues so that customers aren't impacted by them. And what made all that transition possible was that all of this was built on top of Dataverse. Because people and agents were operating on that same system, this evolution didn't require us to move data or re-architect the system. It allowed us to start having this team of agents and people working hand in hand, handing off with that shared context and data to move that business process forward in the most efficient and effective way possible. And so that's really been the evolution that we've been on with Dataverse, with this idea that we can make Dataverse, just like it has been across all of the Power Platform, the first and best knowledge source for agents built inside of Copilot Studio. We've taken all of that operational data that we have inside of Dataverse and made it first-class knowledge that you can use directly in your agent building experience. We've enhanced the APIs and exposed those as tools so that your agents can execute processes on top of that data. And we've enhanced the eventing system inside of Dataverse so that Dataverse itself can engage agents as and when necessary based on what's happening in the different business processes that you have across your organization. But enough of me talking about it. I think you all want to see it in action. So let me welcome up Monica to the stage, who's going to show you how knowledge really works inside of Copilot Studio. Monica, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nirav. It's a delight to be here with you all today. Data scientist. The data science role is one of the most sought after in the entire world. And if you think about it in context of what Nirav just spoke about, that makes sense. When you think about the degree of evolving complexity and innovation that's happening with business data. Well, today, I'm going to show you how Copilot can make you your very own magical data scientist. So imagine this. I own a toy shop, and we build the very best toys that last from generation to generation. In order to do this, I need to source materials from all over the world. I look at my weather app. Oh my goodness, there's a storm brewing all the way on the northeast, and it's of the US, but it's even going to affect us here in Vienna. My goodness, be prepared. The first thing I do is to go and think, will my orders make it on time? Well, thankfully, I have my trusty operations assistant, which is connected to multiple data sources. Dataverse, Azure Databricks, even structured and unstructured data in SharePoint. Fantastic. So what do? I come here and I say, will there be any delays? And my good, trusty data science assistant is working. What it's doing, it's looking at my performance data in Dataverse, which is in structured format. It's looking at real-time data in Azure Databricks around my shipping, and so it can tell where my shipments are. And lastly, it's looking in SharePoint, where my team puts our analysis of the different suppliers. And let's see. Oh, fun. Not good, not good, not good. Global tech component, 7-day delay. I must look into this further. Let's see. I want to understand, how has global tech been performing in the last 60 days? Is this a one-off, or should I be worried? What we are not showing you is all of the work we have abstracted away around governance and security. You, as a business owner, should not worry about that. Take care and create when it comes to your business. And let's have those governance and security rules taken care of. Let's see what we have here. Oh, delays. My safety stick has 20-day delays. This is unacceptable. I must do something about it. Excellent. What I shall do is I shall just click into the Power App link that tells me where the data comes from. And here I can see that I'm going to flag global tech to be dealt with at a later time. Unacceptable. I'll get to you at a later time. You will be indeed dealt with. Hold your breath, it gets better. Remember, I'm a magical data scientist. Not only do I react by gathering the right insights and taking action, I go one step further, and I'm proactive. So what do? I go to my trusty assistant, and I say, hey, are there any other suppliers who might be able to help me out? There is a storm, so we shall see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And it's checking, and it's checking. Let us see. Global tech, I will deal with you. But until then, let's see if I can find at least a few. One of the interesting things I want to call out is you can see that we show you citations. It's truly crucial for us to get to 1 billion, 1 trillion agents, that each of you has control and you have an understanding and can explain what your agent is doing. And so we've really been thoughtful about making that easy, because it is by trusting our agents that we build more and more of these. Oh, excellent, guys! There are many options. North Star components, I will go with you. And just like that, a little 3-year-old girl will get her teddy bear in time for her birthday party. Why are we doing all of this? Why did I just make you sit through this theatrics? Because we're at an inflection point. We indeed have an opportunity to help every person, every organization, to achieve drastically more. And that is why, by giving folks access to the right insights and allowing folks to take action even more easily, we help achieve human potential. We make ourselves one step closer towards achieving that overarching goal. Thank you. Nirav, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monica, for walking us through this. My phone was blowing up backstage. Santa was calling, saying he really needs that solution ASAP before the holiday season to make sure all the toys are delivered just on time. But what you saw there was really this idea that we were just talking through, right? This idea that data is transforming into knowledge to support it to be operable in an AI ecosystem, enabling your agents to find the right data at the right time with the right context and language necessary to support your organization's business processes. But knowledge and what AI can do can go so much further. Just think about the business processes that you and your coworkers engage with each and every day. If you're like me, you probably get hundreds or thousands of emails and documents that you need to read through and process every single day. You need to read through them, understand what's happening, and what to do next. And what is that? Well, you're probably generating a new email, a new document, and if you're a little bit old school, maybe you're sending a fax around. I don't know. But this idea that businesses run on these documents in, run a process, document out, I bet you have some of that, right? Don't lie. You've got that, right? In fact, we see this really across every industry and hear from customers all the time that this is what's slowing them down. Whether it's from telecommunications or government, HR, no industry is safe from this. The amount of document processing that happens across your organization is massive. Documents truly are the love language of office work. And the data backs this up. 8 out of 10 processes across the enterprise depend on documents. And all of those processes are generating a ton of additional data. You'd have to consume 1.5 billion hours of content on YouTube just to consume that amount of data. My kids watch a lot of YouTube, but even they can't watch that much. And the biggest problem of all of this is it's largely unstructured, meaning someone has to go reason over it, understand it, to make it meaningful. But what if we could change that? What if we could shift this work from people over to agents, allowing your agents to reason over those documents and make decisions, allowing those agents to orchestrate those document-based processes, enabling your agents to generate new documents based on the context and knowledge that they have access to. I think this is going to fundamentally change how work gets done. And it's no longer going to be the love language of office workers. I think office workers are really ready to break up with this process. And so to do this, what we've done is we've created 2 new capabilities across the platform. The first is for documents coming in. We have the document processor, a built-in agent out of box available to you inside a Copilot Studio. The document processor is capable of reading incoming documents, understanding their context and extracting the relevant information out of them without any training being necessary. And then, once they've extracted all that information, they can start running that business process, initiating what needs to happen next, leveraging all of the tool set that you have inside of Copilot Studio. The second is the ability to generate documents on the fly, simply by providing instructions in natural language and templates that you want to use, along with the sources of knowledge that you want to use to support the generation of that document. The AI will then process that knowledge on the fly, following the instructions that you provided, and generate the document in real time to complete that business process for you. But I'm sure you want to see this in action, so let me welcome Gwen to the stage, who's going to show you document processing live here.
All right, thank you, Nirav. I am thrilled to be here with you all today to showcase our latest document processing capabilities for agents available in Copilot Studio. Now, one of the things that Nirav mentioned just now really caught my attention. In the enterprise today, 8 out of 10 business processes rely on documents. So if you want to have 10x productivity gains using your AI workforce, it's critical that your agents are able to read, understand, and generate documents just like we do. I'm going to show you how you can set this up in Copilot Studio using our new document processor built-in agent and new Copilot Studio tools to generate documents. So for this demo, let's imagine that I run logistics at my company, Adatum, that installs cooling systems. And so I don't know about you, but it's really hot today already, starting in Vienna. The summer is coming along, and my demands are booming. I need to make sure that I have enough inventory to meet my customer demand. And oftentimes, when I'm requesting new inventory, it's going to start with a document, just like this one, a purchase order, that I'm going to add to an email, basically, and send to my supplier. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, fire off my email, and thankfully, my supplier has embraced this new world of AI agents, and he has already set up an AI agent to monitor his incoming mailbox and automatically process this order request. I'm going to show you how this was set up. We have a new component in Copilot Studio, a new managed agent that comes out of the box. It is called the document processor. And what this is, it's a fully operational agent that is an expert at extracting data from documents and triggering downstream processes. And it's so easy to set up that I'm going to demo it to you right now. It starts like this with a configuration interface. And the first step is just to add a sample document to make sure that my document processor is going to know how to extract the data from the document. So what the AI is doing here is it's automatically understanding my document, and I didn't have to pre-label anything or custom train a model. It just works out of the box. You can see here all of the different fields that are available. And if I want, I can even tweak this. Let's say, for example, I don't need the page info, so I'm going to go ahead and unclick that. And I can even set up advanced rules for configuration using natural language prompts. So I can really tailor this workflow for my unique enterprise process. Now, once I'm sure that the document extracts the data in the way that I want, I can set up specific rules, right? Because we need human oversight over what our agents are doing. So I can set up and configure specific rules. For example, let me say that the dates in this document must be valid ISO format. And if I need more rules, I can also set up advanced rules, again, using prompts that are easy to configure in natural language. All right, I now have my validation rules. To finish up the configuration process, I need to assign human approvers to oversee the process, and then I can just configure my document sources, and I'll be on my way. I will have a fully configured agent that comes now complete with instructions, that comes complete with pre-configured knowledge sources to store the extracted data and to monitor the agent activity, a set of tools to reliably extract the content, and a set of triggers to set up mailboxes and SharePoint access to get the initial documents. All right, remember that email that I fired up? Let's see if my document processor agent was able to extract the data from it. So I have a monitoring app that's available, that's already built in out of the box with this new document processing agent. And I'm going to go ahead and access it, give it a refresh, and let's see if the document that I sent was able to come in. And yes, I see it coming in here. It's already available. So you can see for it here in the validation station that we have specific documents that are available. Let me go back and show you this first one that was already exported. You can see here this is a validation station. So you see the extracted document that comes in, and you see all of the extracted fields that are already available for me. So let me go back, and you can see now that I have all the different fields that are available there. And this is fantastic because as a human, I can have full oversight over what the agent is doing. And once I approve the document and all the fields that were extracted correctly, I can trigger the rest of my process. OK, so you can see now that basically the document was exported and everything went as planned, which is great. I can now set up the rest of my process. So wouldn't it be great if I could have an agent that not only validates the extracted data, but I could also have an agent that triggers all of the different downstream processes? So I've already gone ahead and do that, and I've created this second agent, a purchase order helper. So this agent is going to handle all of my shipments directly for me. The way I've set this up is with specific triggers. So one trigger, when the purchase order is created, this is going to fire up all of my shipments directly. And at my company, my logistics process is very deterministic, right? I want it to follow a rigorous sequence. I don't want the agent to get creative. So I've set up an agent flow, and I've set up a collection of prompts that are going to instruct the agent how to perform. And you'll see here that I have a specific instruction, which is doing more than generating text. It's actually creating order records and firing the shipments. Now we have, in the prompt builder, the ability to generate code and to write records. I'm going to go ahead and test this out and see if my shipments are able to get created. What this is doing is this is using code generation behind the scenes to actually create those records in Dataverse and create my order shipment. And there it is. Everything worked. It was able to create the shipment for me. If I go now to my shipment validation app, again, just to make sure that my agent is performing tasks correctly, here it is. My new order just popped up. And so I have high confidence that my agent did exactly what I wanted. It extracted the data from the email, it created the record in Dataverse, and now my order and my shipment is ready to go. But wouldn't it be great if I could do even more? If I could have my agents actually generate a document for me, a fully functional invoice, and send it back to my customer? And so I've added that capability as well here in my agent. And I've created another deterministic agent flow to fire up when my shipment is sent out. And you'll see what this agent flow does. Again, it relies on prompts to give it very precise instructions. I'm going to now instruct the agent to actually generate an invoice for me. Let me fire up the prompt builder, and I'll show you how easy it is to build a prompt that generates documents. We have a new output format here, which is Word document in the prompt builder. And you can see here in the instruction, I can tell the agent basically to look at data from my incoming purchase order, and then to generate a new document with that data. But I'm not going to generate just any document. I'm going to generate document in a highly specific template, my templated format for invoices that I've uploaded to the agent for configuration. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and test it, and you see what the agent is going to do now. It's going to take those instructions that I gave it to him, and it's going to figure out how to add all of that data into my document template. And here you see, it's proceeded with the task successfully, it's found all the data, and it's just generated a document for me right here. Let me open it up and double check if the document was set up correctly. And there it is. You'll see I have an invoice document that was fully generated for me in the right format. Yeah, we can clap for that. Agents can now generate documents. And as you see, if we go back to my inbox at the start of the process, when I fired up the email, you'll see that now the agent has responded to me, and I have a confirmation email that it was sent out to me with the invoice already set up. So there you have it. We now have new capabilities in Copilot Studio for agents to reliably read, understand, and generate documents. Back to you, Nirav.
Thank you, Gwen, for that amazing demo. I already feel liberated from all of that chaos of documents each and every day at work. These capabilities are already resulting in massive ROI across organizations across every industry, whether it's employees getting time back, improvements in the efficiency and speed of their processes, or higher rates of completion and accuracy, ultimately generating greater revenue. Now is really the time for all of us to rethink how document-based processes work across our organization. So then how do we go ahead and pull all these pieces together and really start to get building these agents? Well, we know over the last couple of days, we've talked a lot about it, right? The place to go build and refine your agents, that's Copilot Studio. But then how do you go ahead and take all this great value that we've just talked about inside of the data platform with triggers and knowledge and the tool set supporting them to be consumable from inside of Copilot Studio? Well, the glue to pull that all together, that's Model Context Protocol. Now, I know that probably sounds super technical and in the weeds, but it's not really that complicated. Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is really an industry standard that's starting to emerge that accelerates how you can package together tools and knowledge, providing it the context necessary so that AI and agents can find the right set and operate based on what's available to it to run those business processes. Right? It defines a language to support packaging of your knowledge and tools in a consistent way for any AI platform. And so what we've done is we've integrated MCP as a first-class construct inside of Copilot Studio, making every agent that you build inside of Copilot Studio an MCP client, enabling to use any MCP server as part of that tool chain for your agent to operate over. We've also taken the list of connectivity that we have across the platform and started reimagining what those can look like as MCP servers. Again, taking that value that we've invested in over the last decade in the Power Platform and pulling it together and making it usable as a first-class construct as part of your agent building experiences, enabling your agents to have that pre-packaged set of tools and knowledge available to it so that it can operate and find the right actions and the right knowledge at the right time to run those business processes for you. And so we've talked a lot about transformation that's happening at the data layer and how that's enabling entirely new types of opportunities and solutions to be built. Valrata has been a Power Platform partner that has really reimagined how they can go deliver value for their customers on top of the platform utilizing these new capabilities. To talk more about their experience and how they've transformed what they are building and how they are building it, I'd like to welcome up Sam Smith to the stage.
We're Velrada, your Microsoft platform partner for intelligent apps, automation, analytics, and agents. Since 2009, we've been a trusted Microsoft solution partner with the recognition, experience, and results to back it up. With operations across Europe, North America, and Australia, we offer global capability with localized delivery. We work with leaders across key sectors, solving problems and delivering real impact. Your next move starts here. Built for tomorrow. Built with you. At the forefront of modern, accessible AI, powered by the Microsoft stack, he brings technical depth and a vision for impact. Welcome on stage, Sam Smith.
Thank you, Sam, for joining us here today. Super excited to see all the great work that you and Velrada have been doing. Love to understand a little bit more about kind of how you've been thinking about the future of work and what it means to build out a digital workforce. Can you talk us through kind of how Velrada has been thinking about this with some of the agents that you have running in action today?
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to hopefully showing you some of that work here today. But before we kind of get into that, I'd like to go through a little bit of what we've learned along the way, because there's been quite a lot. I think it's fair to say some of the scenarios that we're going to demo to you today, we probably wouldn't have attempted with where the product was 6 months ago. But I think it's fair to say we've seen a real step change in the maturity of the platform. So we sort of think about where we've got to with Copilot Studio. It's like, I think it's a much better developer experience. So we start talking about the traceability, being able to kind of actually see what our agents are doing, which is very helpful to fine-tune them. And then we get into being able to chain our agents together as well. And that, for us, is a real cornerstone of being able to have a much more composable architecture for our agents. And then when we're able to combine that with our old friend Dataverse and being able to use autonomous workflows and kind of hook them into our business processes, it's a really, really compelling option for our customers.
Awesome. Well, let's be honest, this probably wasn't all rainbows and sunshine from day one. You've already had some obstacles along the way, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what were some of the hurdles that you had to overcome?
Absolutely. And I guess it wouldn't be fun if it was all just sunshine and rainbows, right? So I think it'd be fair to say one of the biggest hurdles that we faced was around the quality of the retrieval steps to begin with. But as I say, and that kind of led us to needing to pay a lot of attention to building out custom RAG indexes and all the fun that entails. But again, I think it's fair to say now with the tier 1 knowledge sources that we have available to us, so both across Dataverse for our structured knowledge, and then also going out to our kind of more, all those lovely messy documents that our customers want to search over, we've really taken those steps forward to having a much better experience.
And that's awesome to hear, Sam. And we've been hearing a lot of the same feedback from customers and partners, and really appreciate your partnership on that journey with us to get it to where it's at today. Now, I know people want to see this in action, so let's get on with it and really just get into the demo itself, huh?
Let's do it. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll introduce you to our real-world scenario. As you can see, we've got our office worker, and for today's demo, that is going to be myself. And if we imagine it's a pretty hot day as we're stepping into the summer months, and I promise you in London we also do have summer months. It's not just a fallacy. So if we could kind of start to imagine that, let's walk in, say I'm a new employee, aircon's not working, I have absolutely no idea where I need to go to get the information to get the flipping thing to work. So let's say I fire off that query, right? That, in essence, for troubleshooting this issue, it's going to be that kind of one sort of drop of water into the ocean and all of the kind of ripples spreading out, right? So if we start off, for example, with a set of internal troubleshooting, might be me going and getting a member of the maintenance team to come out and try and fix the issue. Then let's say, for example, it's still not working, fantastic, we're going to have to go and reach out to our external suppliers, source parts, raise purchase orders, all of that kind of sexy stuff, right? So traditionally what we would do is we would create a set of application interfaces, a set of workflows, and we would try and support our internal organization, right? And we would kind of give them those kind of as flexible as we can, but a relatively rigid step workflow to try and help. But really the actual kind of loss in time here is trying to kind of go between the, us internally and then email and kind of coordinate across those external suppliers, right? So what we're really excited about Velrada is to be able to start building much more flexible interfaces with an agentic experience. So let's reimagine what we'd seen in the previous slide. And we see Sam on the left-hand side, a new employee, and his front door into sort of that organizational workflow is just to go into M365 chat and say, it's pretty hot in here. How can we sort out the aircon, please, right? And as you can see, what we have backing that experience up is a set of orchestrator agents and then a team of specialists, all scoped to a specific task. And actually, do you know what? Why don't I just jump into the demo and I think we've had enough of the slides, right? So let's do that. So what we're going to do, let's jump straight into Copilot Studio, which I'm sure none of you have seen in the keynote so far. So we've got our estate management agent, right? And this is going to be, as I say, it's our kind of front door into the process. And as I scroll down, you can see we've got our instructions, so saying what your role is, what you're going to do, all of that kind of good stuff. But what you're going to see is we've got absolutely no knowledge or tools. It's not going to be particularly useful, is it? But we go to the Agents tab. This is where we're kind of offloading those tools and knowledge to our team of specialists, right? So as we can see, we've got our estate researcher agent. And what I can do in here, this is where we're going to pass the entire context of the conversation with our first agent. But this is kind of where it gets interesting, right? So this other agent is just kind of like listen out, kind of going, here if you need me. And great, I'm going to go off and I'm going to research our internal knowledge base. So that's within Dataverse world for this scenario. That's case notes, anything potentially about that aircon unit that's faulty or something that's going to help with Sam's query. And then also with SharePoint knowledge to kind of get the right information, right? So what I'll do is, instead of going over into Copilot chat, what I'm going to do is if we fire off a query and just like say, hey, it's pretty hot. What's up with the aircon? And we go into the activity map, and as I was saying earlier, this for me is where it's so much easier to debug these agents now, right? So we're going to go straight in. We've got, all right, we're just going to confirm that it is the Dakin split system floor standing aircon unit. Flies off the tongue, as I'm sure you'll agree. And then we get into our estate researcher agent, right? So that's already been called. And as it's going to kind of go through its steps, what we can see is, yeah, we've got the description, but I think the most important bit to take notice of here is that we're giving it a really clear task. So the orchestration works by giving it a really clear set of instructions, i.e., I want you to research this particular asset that we've captured, and I also want you to kind of look for any active cases, so just in case we need to follow up with that. And then what we get on our right-hand side, I think it's probably a little bit too big, but we'll just go for it anyway. We can see a nice little Sam, here's some troubleshooting steps, and kind of contextually, we've brought that back all together. Now, I'm sure many of you in the audience, if you're like me and you kind of love messing around with AI in your spare time, pretty cool. But with that in mind, building out these kind of indexes, it is not the work of a moment. And it is actually really a pretty difficult thing to do. And it can really cause issues with scale, right? So do we want to be spending our time building out these RAG indexes, or do we want, aka Microsoft, to take care of that for us, and we can really focus on building out these really cool agent flows? So as I say, we can then pop into the knowledge sources, and you can kind of see exactly what's happened. We can see where it's gone off and it's found the right manual within SharePoint. And we've got a pretty good contextual response, and we can kind of take the workflow from there. So as I say, this isn't just the kind of like going off and finding the knowledge. It's that handing it off to another agent, synthesizing that information, and getting it into something that's really helpful across a really, what could be quite a complex set of protocols to get across all those knowledge sources.
No, that's super cool, Sam. One of the things I noticed as you were going through was it seems like you've got this team of agents. You've really modularized kind of those business processes and have those agents really working with one another. Can you tell us what you learned about kind of how you built out these modular agents to really support the broader business process?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we found, especially sort of at the beginning, and we were sort of, everyone was kind of like, great, our agents can do this. We're chucking tools and actions at it left, right, and center. And the problem is a little bit like if you gave me too many things to do, I'd kind of start struggling, especially when we get into kind of complex accounting procedures. So the idea with having a kind of that team of specialists that we're talking about is that we basically get much better responses because we're not giving the LLM too much to think about, and it's a very kind of clear scope that we're defining. And then it's just, as I say, it's the orchestrator that all it has to do is kind of go, I know who can help with that. We're going to pull in that team member, and off we go. So just to bring that to life a little bit more, let's pop over to the estate researcher agent. And what we can see, we've got a workflow going like, right, we want to get the user location to check what the unit is. And we're going to go through these steps. As you can see, we've got our SharePoint knowledge source set up, and then we've got that all-important Dataverse knowledge set up in here as well. So as I say, we think it's a really, really important step to make sure that these agents are composable. And it's going to make it a lot easier for you guys to develop these experiences in terms of, instead of having to kind of imagine the whole thing, being able to kind of say, OK, so for example, the IT team might be looking after the estate researcher agent, and then we might have another team looking out for the case management agent, for example.
Fantastic. And I don't want to get us too far off script, but it's really getting hot up here. Any chance we can get that air conditioning working again, please?
I hear you loud and clear, Nirav. I'll get on with that right away. So let's go in and so as you can see, the Copilot's come back to it and said there's no cases found for this unit. If you need further assistance for in-person support, let me know, and I can help you create a support ticket, right? So let's just say, I've tried the steps above. It still doesn't work. Please help. I'm sure you all appreciate me actually writing the prompts out manually. It makes a really, really big difference. So as you can see, what we now have is that we're going to fire off to that case management agent, right? So as I say, the first thing it's going to do is going to go off and get the asset. It's going to kind of then go off and create that new case. And then what we can do is, just to kind of prove that we're not making this up as we go along, go away. Let's refresh our view here. We've got a new case that's been created in D365. And I guess that the actual value for me in this is that we've got a really nice contextual description for when we go and pick up this case later on in the process. We've already got all of that kind of contextual. This is what we've already tried for the user. And again, it just makes that much more contextual as we go forward, right? So let's say for our scenario's sake, we've created the case. Excellent, Sam. Sort of hang tight. We'll be with you. But let's say, going back to our scenario earlier around kind of we've got a supplier agent, for example, that can help us work with external suppliers. So let's say, for example, we don't have anyone internally that can help. What we have the ability now, as I say, is to kind of like, we're going to hook into this process, listen to the case, go and look for an appropriate resource, say they haven't found, and say that's when the supplier relations agent can step in. So what we've got over here, as you can see, we've got some MCP server goodness. And what this agent has done is basically gone, right, I'm going to go off, and I'm going to go and see if I click into the list accounts action. Now, again, I've not had to really prompt this very much at all, right? It's one sentence pretty much, please go off and find relevant resources. But it's gone and kind of created that crazy filter string and kind of known to kind of go, right, primary contact is based in London. All of that kind of stuff that's a real nightmare to hook up in real life with other means. But then let's say we've found the right supplier, and then we're going to go and send that email off. And as you can see, we've got to send that off. Just going to scroll down so you can see the body. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that we've then passed that over.
Is that a document I see?
That is a document.
I knew there would be one in there somewhere.
I've heard there's a thing about documents in, documents out, right? So, but this is again really important because, like, going back to the scenario we were talking about earlier and trying to knit these external systems together, we just wouldn't be able to do this previously. And this is, again, it really offers us that kind of flexibility with using documents and then kind of making that make sense into our internal line of business systems. So it's pretty powerful.
That's awesome. So clearly you've got this team of agents now really running this process for you end to end. One of the big things that we hear all the time is, hey, I love the idea that I can do this, but how do I really go secure and govern them? Any thoughts or wisdom that you can share with the group here about that?
Yeah, so it's a pretty easy answer, right? So we've all been, we've been building mission-critical applications on this platform for a pretty long time now, right? So we've already got role-based access controls, and one of the things I think customers are often worried about is, well, what if someone fires off a prompt and then they see, a case or a document that they're not supposed to see? And that is a really difficult challenge to get right if you were to build this from scratch, right? But we're not, right? So we're able to build these agent systems, as it were, over the top of what is already a stable, trusted platform, and that's exactly what our customers expect from us.
Fantastic. I know we're almost out of time, but any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the group here while we've got them? Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the main things is to not fall into the trap of, here's a shiny new toy, I'm going to kind of lift and shift my automations, or to kind of like try and do a one-to-one here. The key thing is, I think, to really embrace the flexibility that the LLMs give you, and don't try and just kind of replicate a very linear process all the time. Try and kind of reimagine how those processes are going to work.
Thank you so much, Sam. And before you go, I can't have international pop superstar Sam Smith on the stage without getting a few bars of one of your classic hits. Any chance we could convince you to throw some out for us here?
If you buy me a drink at the bar, I might just do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam, and the entire Volvado team. Thank you, Sam, and the entire Volvado team for the amazing partnership and the amazing innovation that you've been delivering on the platform. And they aren't the only ones. The ecosystem of agents and scenarios being addressed continues to grow at a rapid pace, truly transforming every single role across every industry in every company. So as we close out today, I truly want to thank all of you and the entire Power Platform community. Your ambition is what has defined the last decade of the data foundation that has fueled the Power Platform, fueling that digital transformation across all of your organizations. But what got us here isn't going to get us to the future. We must challenge the status quo, enabling new forms of operating over that data, and reimagine how best to apply data in the agentic future that we're all going to be building together. So just know that your job isn't finished. It's only just beginning. I hope all of you will join us as we transform into a new world powered by AI agents and the data foundation that fuels them. Thank you all for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your EPPC. We're excited to partner with you and build the future. The next decade starts now, so let's get building.